I've got the code set, and it'll have all the same weathers and pins and everything. See how we go. I already made separate local recordings on my YouTube channel, but those were just, you know, I gave myself as many attempts at the rounds as I wanted, because I wanted to, like, you know, have, like, you know, examples. But, you know, now here's the real deal. So as if, like, you know, I mean, even though I wouldn't have, like, you know, the esports venue sort of environment, you know, to simulate, you know, there's only so much you can do about that. Unfortunately, I couldn't personally go, but
Nice shot.
I was busy yesterday. I had commitments yesterday. Better safe than sorry. Just leave this on the flat shelf in the center here, on the left here. It is possible with a perfect shot to get on this green outright. Not with a -1, you don't. You don't even need +1, though. This is okay. Because the putt's pretty tricky anyway. Well, I've really caught the slope. Definitely overdid that. That's alright, that's alright.
Nice bird.
And we'll make up for it on 4 here. We'll just use the slope to the advantage here. Little mound on the right. I was instructed to make this first round simple, but nonetheless, I did add a couple of watch out moments. Stuff you don't see in vanilla gameplay. There's no need to make the aggressive drive to the left.
Nice shot.
Though I'm going to be mildly upset if I do have a less than perfect lie here. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. So I could just let a 3-wood cruise down there. I predict I'll land short of the green, and then this will just Motsy its way down for another 20-odd yards. Yeah, let's just take a look. Yep, just short, and then it drags along right near the grid line. Excellent. Still calm so far here. There's a small mound on the right that'll keep me out of the bunker. I thought about adding backspin here, but I am going against the grain a bit. Bang!
Nice eagle.
Let's freaking go. Glad I didn't add backspin. The -1 led me on the right path. Here it is also very barely possible to get on this green in one shot. I made the wind so that it's very close.
Nice shot.
+1 would have helped immensely, but, you know. That's quite alright. It's quite alright. Can't expect an eagle here every time. Especially seeing I got one on the prior hole.
Nice shot.
Ugh, snapped away. That's what I feared. That's what I was reading in my line before.
Nice birdie.
Hooked it a little off. Ah, first wrinkle. Almost always, when I made a hole with rain, I also increased the wind a bit. Just to kind of indicate that the weather has slightly soured. I definitely lost my vision there a bit. Totally whiffed. Okay. We can chip. Got the goods.
Nice shot.
Fell a bit inside because I ended up having to play it lower. Should have done topspin instead, maybe. Okay. Well, extra eagle makes up for that. Unlike what you normally see in this game, and more like you would see in other Mario Golf games, I had it where you could potentially see multiple consecutive holes with rain, of which this is a second consecutive hole. But with Tailwind here, the strongest hitters could potentially get on this in one go.
Nice shot.
I think normal topspin is sufficient. Ball is nice and slippery in the rain.
Great. Eagle putt.
Yeah, we're definitely leaning a bit there at the end, so we gotta account for that, and then... Let's see, so nominal without before elevation with this rain is going to be something kind of like maybe around 65, and then we add at least 10 for elevation. Yes, boys and girls. Barely hard enough. I've definitely been softening my putting over time. I don't like to end up being too far away if I mess up. And plus, I'm getting better at seeing wider lines. It's more professional-like anyway, you know? Than just, you know, trying to overhit everything by 6+ feet. Savagery, I say. Slightly suboptimal lie here, but honestly not the worst thing. Gotta give this space to do what I want it to do. I'm gonna let this one go. I fear backspin might make it awkward. Yeah, I should have done backspin.
Great.
Whatty how.
Eagle putt.
Okay. Like I say, I can do wide putts. I wanted at least the 29, but kicking ass. Absolutely kicking ass. Stupid hole 7. Stupid double hook. Okay. Doing really damn well, so no sense doing anything too silly here. I think I gave myself short enough club that one frame hook doesn't kill it outright. Yeah, Baffy is good. Baffy is alright. And I can still get here with a wedge, so no biggie.
Nice shot.
Oh,
Pin shot.
good.
Birdie
Locked
putt.
in.
Nice
Locked
birdie.
in. Something tells me that things might not go so well in later rounds, though. This is the warm-up. Although, you know, slight spike of difficulty here. So.
Nice shot.
Oh, that hook's gonna be a little awkward for me. Although, either kind of mistake is gonna be awkward regardless. Oh. Did not think I would lose that much. Okay. You know, par 3's posing problems for PD as always, but...
Nice shot. Nice ball.
Okay. Par's the next best thing, I guess.
Nice.
Just to be, you know, playful in a way, I did have some holes that the wind speed matched the hold number. Or multiples of it, or something similar-ish. Which way we going? Guess we'll find out.
Nice shot.
Land on this downslope and then just kind of scooch up.
Nice on. Birdie putt.
Fair enough.
Nice birdie. Nice shot.
This is probably one of the stupidest and most awkward pin number ones in the entire game. I'm not sure what Camelot was thinking here, to be honest. This is the kind of spot that almost feels like a pin number 3 in all actuality, but, you know, it's their decision, I guess.
Nice shot.
Now I won't reach the green, so once that super backspin activates, then it's gonna be goofy. Slices stink.
Nice shot.
Fast.
Nice approach. Birdie putt.
I gave most of the par 5s tailwinds in order to enable a slightly wider assortment of characters, like especially if people wanted to use Yoshi. Then yeah, then Yoshi becomes slightly more viable.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
Just land nice and quick.
Nice.
Doesn't get into too much shenanigans.
Nice birdie.
Oh, that's right. I had the extra par and I failed the eagle, so that's why I'm not at like minus 18 right now. Shame. you. Another rainy hole with headwind.
Nice shot.
Kitty hits so darn high that a hook is not going to hurt too horribly. But even that still lost a bunch. It's crazy. That hook maybe did hurt a little after all.
Nice shot.
These hooks, they hurt.
Nice ball.
Repart ECF. What are we doing?
Nice shot.
I set this the way it is to both, you know, A, tempt people into trying to clear the creek with, you know, characters like Waluigi or Wario, whereas normally you'd only start to do that with, like, Daisy, for instance. But then also, with this is still an easy enough pin, but because of the Rain and Tailwind combo, you do have to tread a little carefully. Unless you pick a monster character, that is, but that's just a given if you're playing on the first 3 courses anyway. Most people will just pick Bowser or Petey.
Nice shot.
Get in, you swine.
Birdie putt. Nice birdie.
Lawn approaches do run quite a bit, so wanted to ensure delicacy there. A wind that potentially assists players here. There should be plenty of room even if I do hook here. Not if you backspin, you dingus. Although, I think Petey is still strong enough to be able to reach this green. Yeah, watch this shit. Petey is just an absolute unit.
Nice shot.
Go, go, go. I need like 185 carry. God, what an absolute unit. Tall spoon out of the rough, ladies and gentlemen. Hits up a 10-story building, 200 out. Give it up for Petey Piranha here.
Great. Eagle.
Good lord.
Nice eagle.
And finally, nice, sweet little hole 18. Yeah, plenty of room to make a mistake either way here. Rough, whatever. 9-iron. Let's frickin' go.
Nice.
Just in backspin just in time here. Big hop stop. Though I do catch the right side a little, but
Birdie putt.
yeah, this is no biggie here. Nice aggro.
Nice birdie.
Okay. Fine. That's fine. Couple of disappointing... Yeah, 13 was a disappointment, and freaking hole 3, par 3s. Yeah, I definitely made those challenging now, didn't I? Yeah, well, hole 5 was awesome, though. Alright. So now I gotta temporarily reboot this in order to put in the second code for round 2. And then that'll give me time to swap these to blooper. Round 2 at blooper. Yes, blooper. So I should get a 5-mile-an-hour wind from the ocean. Yep, there we go. And pin number 2. Yeah, pin number 2. Perfect. Okay.
Nice shot.
I just kind of want this to, like, sort of strangle along the side and scooch and... Okay, I missed the fast, but that's fine. It's fine. Perfect, perfect place. Fine. Start.
Nice shot.
I'm cool with this. This might skid a little bit going downhill, but... Yeah, this is perfectly... This is puttable, very puttable.
Nice bird.
Folks do know I'm live, right? Strange. Two. I did do this to, you know, be slightly friendly towards potential potential eagle routes.
Nice shot.
Topspin usually causes me to roll too far, so let's forgo it here. Nice aggressive driver, beautiful lie, so Wally does see a chance here, actually. Especially if I get a little more technical with the impact point, perhaps.
Nice shot.
Hook will keep me safer. Especially since I didn't add backspin, that means that I don't just yeet right it back into the water. So this is fine. And this is a decent angle to attack the flag, too.
Nice shot. Nice approach.
Wasn't sure how that was gonna wobble.
Nice bird.
Birdie's always good. Birdie's always good. Gotta be a little bit careful here.
Nice shot.
Leave it just short and spin through usually works pretty well. That's really close, so... Accuracy test now, basically.
Nice shot. Nice shot. Pin shot.
I over-aimed, it seems. Didn't get dead center, so... Well, that's a darn shame.
Nice ball.
I tried to make most of the wind on this course come from the ocean. Although there are holes here where you're kind of like out in the middle of the water, so they're a few more liberties.
Nice shot.
Have a wind that would be a complimentary challenge to the pin position.
Nice shot.
I'm still gonna let this crawl anyway because it's a downhill green. You don't want to be beneath this hole.
Birdie putt.
Oh dear. That just didn't break at the end like I thought it was gonna. Should have read that closer.
Nice ball.
Oof. Okay, let's get birdies. Before things get really tough. Originally, I had this hole with rain in it, but And I realized that maybe that was kind of harsh. In general, I gradually felt that I had too many holes with rain. So I gradually dialed them back and tweaked winds.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
As long as this stays away from the bunker, then... Even though the bunker would have been just fine as well, but this is less complicated.
Nice birdie.
Very tricky combo here. This is meant to exploit players that have a tendency to add fades to their draw characters, like if they were using Boo or Bowser, for instance, then they'll end up with like a much more awkward ball flight. Whereas if you do have a character with a draw, you kind of want to aim a ways out and preserve it so that the ball will more or less just kind of straight up, you know, push straight to your target. So try to put that in action, I suppose, but easier said than done for all these here, so...
Nice shot.
And this isn't even that bad of a spot because the cup is flat up there.
Nice shot. Chip in.
Even though the pin seems to be in a goofy spot, but I guess there's a reason why that's the second location rather than the third or fourth. Even though it's hard to hit directly. Then here we have rain, and wind is triple the hole number. But I did put the pin in just such a position that allows players to cut across the green. And then this eventually sets them up for later holes where I give them like the same type of challenge but more difficult later on.
Nice shot.
If this lands in the bunker, so be it, but otherwise, yeah, this came out really nice.
Nice shot.
Might end up short still, but okay, that's not bad.
On.
Not bad at all.
Putt.
Nice pin high.
Nice birdie.
So now the birdies are piling back in after a couple of dum-dums. Couple of overheads, basically. And then this hole here is meant to be like a nice cooldown with a wind that matches the hole number and an easy location.
Nice shot.
I would make this harder, but first off, Blooper is a tougher course, and number two, this was only round 2 in the tournament. So didn't want to, you know, pull all the strings right away. All the stops, I guess rather is the term.
Nice shot.
Spin high, but it should spin back decently, yup.
On. Birdie putt.
Was originally planning to just kind of drag it sideways with normal backspin, but overhit and +2, yep, change your mind. Changed my mind. 30 minutes and no one in chat. What the hell is happening today?
Nice shot.
Good. This is pin number 3 here. Number 4 is kind of tucked all the way on the left side, but this one is number 3, and it's still a challenge to hit to comfortably, because there's all sorts of slopes happening. There's like 3 different mounds on the green: front corner, back corner, and left side. And that cup is kind of nestled among the left one, so it's a little goofy. In the sweet spots, that's what matters. Try to land this at or close to pin high, and then just let the natural bite do its work.
Great. Eagle putt.
So yeah, even 3.5 feet out, still goofy slope, but at that point, you just assertively mash it. Good stuff. This wind is just enough that with a perfect shot, I could take a bounce.
Nice shot.
That's a close enough impact point, but... yeah, maybe I under-aimed it a slight, but... still, a little skip-ish. Although this is pin 4, so I would have wanted as much leverage as possible, but little do people know that you can generally hit, you know, to the right of the hole, maybe slightly past it, and the return putt is not that bad. So you gotta always look around. Like any good game, always look around.
Nice shot.
Maybe I undercut this a little, but... oh boy.
Nice shot.
Yeah, caught something there. Okay. Well, I could do things either way, or, because I avoided the primary mound there. The most concerning part of this. So maybe just a super aggressive putt.
Nice birdie.
Beautiful. I'm not sure how common of a birdie that was in the tournament. They did not broadcast the first 4 rounds, where they had 11 attendees. All the coverage was taken by the baseball rounds, but that's fair. I'm very pleased that they managed to make a spot for the final round, at least. Especially because that was supposed to be like the most hype one, like the champions round. What was I trying to do? Oh yeah, this damn hole. Try to land on this flat part, like the rightish part of the flat part, and then just scooch up a little with backspin.
Nice shot.
There's all these right to left slopes, so just let them do their thing.
Nice. On.
Not bad, but still very awkward. As always for this, I think number 3 pin, or maybe it's 4. Did I hit that hard enough? I did. Good. Very good. Hole, 12 miles.
Nice shot.
Hopefully I plowed through the bird bunker there. How foolish of me. I did not go through the bird bunker. Can I fade? I can fade. Still not all the way.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
Yep. Very brisk approach. They'll start to run like just about 10 yards at that range, which is quite a bit. I wonder if some enterprising individuals attempted to scale the whale here. I made it so that this prevents Boo and in some cases Waluigi from reaching the whale, but also at the same time not preventing Daisy from doing so. So that was my logic with setting these conditions here. Easy pin though, so that's one consolation. I just realized that this bunker formation kind of almost resembles an avocado or something. I don't know if that's on purpose. So wonder if... Nope, not quite enough strength. If you manage to go far enough here, you could try to go all the way to this whale for an approach. But no matter. No matter.
Nice shot. Nice shot.
Get up.
Nice on. Birdie putt. Nice birdie.
Tailwind here, but nice pin 3 on the right. So even if you do go out here, it's not a free lunch.
Nice shot.
Hopefully this slice means I don't land like too deep in the starfish or none, but I did catch fast fairway, so probably I'll just plow through outright. Yep. Very nice. I actually kind of wanted to see that +1. That might allow this ball to drag a bit. Maybe I didn't want to see that +1, but that's fine. This is a good angle to return from. Although being more right and closer to pin high is better still.
Nice birdie. Nice shot.
Headwind and front flag here is a tougher combination than some people are inclined to realize, so I'm curious to see how people handled it, but...
Nice shot.
This looks good. Yeah, land in the front and then just
On. Birdie putt.
gently fluff up.
Nice birdie.
That's one way to do things. Another way is to try to punch to the front of the mound and then crash over like a wave. But if you crash over too fast... Now back to being difficult. This wind and this pin combo. This will test if how determined people are to hit fates. When, you know, a lot of players will pick draw characters in order to have better eagle chances on hole 9, but now this draw potentially works against them unless they land their second shot absolutely immaculately.
Nice shot.
So every round here I throw in a couple of like mini boss challenges in order to subvert people's typical routines. And also because the more I go through these, the more I start to like the third pins. They're definitely in sort of those like weird places. Although granted, with this whole fourth pin is absolutely like comical, but nonetheless.
Nice shot.
Come on, 6-iron. Man,
Nice on.
I made a 6-iron just hit its brakes. That's crazy. A lot of brake, but Metal Yoshi's on the case. Good at these braking putts. I'm good at them. Back to having tailwind on headwinds on par 3s, so that's always funny.
Nice shot.
Yeah, that could carry pin high and still almost spin back.
Birdie.
A lot of resistance there.
Nice birdie.
Right, and then for 18 wing. But I did pick an easy pin. So this once again forces draw hitters into trying to fade onto this. It's never an easy thing to do, but I only wanted one slice, not two. This crap.
Nice shot.
Wait a minute. Maybe a one-frame slice gets up here. Might as well try, maybe.
Nice shot.
Lol. Okay, par it is, I guess.
Nice shot. Nice ball.
Few dumb pars at the beginning, and yeah, 12 was dumb, and yeah, all 4 of those pars were dumb. Alright. Swap on to number 3. And then, while this reboot happens, we'll rotate these sneaker jegs.
Wow, I like it so shiny. Eh? Oh,
DT. Science background. Most competitors played better at the 3rd round at Sands than they did on the 2nd round at Blooper, despite the increase in wins that we will see.
Nice shot.
Okay, thankfully got out of the rough there. That or no column in the way, that would have made things really, really tricky. Hey Daniel, welcome, thank you.
Delightful.
Yeah, I figured I'd slip in a little broadcast before I pack things up for my upcoming move, so... That and I figured I would play through, you know, sort of in a virtual sense, the same conditions that I created for an in-person tournament as of recent. That was actually held by Superstar Baseball Enthusiasts, but they had a side tournament for Toadstool Tour. And so this here is the third round that takes place at Sands, and it won't take too long for people to see, you know, that this goes beyond the scope, that this will go beyond the scope of vanilla gameplay. But for the first couple of holes, generally, I try to warm up or acclimate the player.
Nice shot.
A little fade from the wind helps.
On. Birdie putt.
Alright, so cross, cross, and then a little at the end, maybe. Yep, it was starting to go at the end, but it was already centralized at that point. Nice third pin there, tucked in the right corner. A wind speed here that might encourage some players that are kind of on the fence to attempt to go for this Oasis here, like Boo or Birdo, for instance. But that said, that doesn't change the fact that they still have a long third shot that they might have to play out to the left, that they wouldn't be able to go for the green outright.
Nice shot.
Okay, yeah, sweet spot backspin, that's the way to go here. So we have this nice upslope that'll cushion the ball. Slightly scuff lie, but that shouldn't prevent me from taking a spoon to this green. Yeah, nah. Can still get a spoon there.
Nice shot.
We'll just use this whole green and its dramatic slope in order to just yeet the ball sideward. Ball down, please. Yeah, let's just take a look at just how much lateral shit is happening here. Give me a good camera for this.
Shot.
Yeah, this will work nicely.
Great. Eagle putt.
Very pleased with that.
Nice eagle.
Only at the Stony Crab. Ah, good to see all that old stuff still works. I just have to not hook. That's all I need to worry about there. I think a slice and I still barely survive. Not the best bounce, but out of the waist at least, so that's half a victory right there.
Nice shot. Nice approach.
That's always just kind of a weird slope that I set for this.
Nice birdie.
It's not number 4, mind you, but 3 is still tricky, oftentimes. Here's another number 3, and a tailwind, which gives the player room to land on the flatter part and drag the ball up. But still a challenge nonetheless.
Nice shot. Nice on. Birdie putt.
Little out, little hard. That's how you do. Ah. Moderation. Thank you. Whoa, 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 hold up. Yeah, I know these are a little bit off hours. So what I got going here is I'm basically kind of simulating playing through a tournament that I had set the parameters for the rounds for. So there was a group of baseball fellas that had a Toadstool Tour as their side tournament, and so I just basically fiddle around and see, you know, what sort of pin combinations and wind would work to, you know, to create a fun experience, and albeit a challenging experience. And then there, you know, one of the code monkeys was able to turn it into nice gecko code that they were able to use, because the dolphin client the special dolphin client that they run does not use AR, doesn't use action replay. Nice disgusting pin number 4 here. I almost kind of want to punch this, but yeah, this slide I can't go past a 9 without severe loss of control. So
Nice shot.
this might get a little bite. More than I thought, honestly, being a punch 9 with a hot lie, but not the worst. Although I would have wanted to have run a little bit further, because coming back from, you know, a little bit further down and out makes the angle more optimal. Still not the worst.
Nice bird.
19 would have been much better there, but 18 works. Another tricky pin 3, with tailwind, of course. Previous rounds on par 3s, I had headwinds to mess people up. Blooper Bay, it was more crosswinds that I had there, but now we have tailwinds. I did not want to see a slice there. The wind's not even going to be able to push this enough to do anything useful. Yeah. Already a super high shot and I slice it, so that's no bueno. However, I would still almost rather take this than an ill-placed putt at the back of the green. So
Nice shot. Chip in. Nice
go.
bird.
Luigi!
Launcher.
The Waluigi was launched.
Nice shot.
Let the wind do its work here. Better to under hit than over. Especially since, as I've seen, you know, before here. Oh boy, do I even have a good place to stand here? Well, I mean, PD is a big, tall boy, but this is going to be more like a baseball swing now. Oh boy, oh boy. Although, we do have some nice, nice pipes here. Yeah, thankfully it's a good fairway, so this might actually be good for my proposed plan here. Get up here and then just draw the shit out of this. Because this pin that I set up here is a poison pin, and I set it this way in order to teach the player that greed is not good, unless you're somehow a savant at the game. So the better option is to play for the fat part, and then just have this fairly easy, you know, putt. Proximity is not everything. Okay, now here is where you start to see things you don't normally see. 23 miles per hour goes slightly beyond the velocity that you see in vanilla gameplay. Usually it only maxes at 20.
Nice shot.
Hopefully that's not enough to roll OB. Okay, good. Thankfully I did aim far enough left that either way I would be quote-unquote safe. But now I do have to suffer from some severe volatility here. And there's not a whole lot I can do about that other than, you know, try to set the impact point or hook or something to fix it.
Nice shot.
That's pretty good. That wasn't too far from my original vision anyhow. Alright, come on, ball, break. Oh, maybe it broke too much. Yep.
Pin shot.
Shoot!
Nice ball.
Grr. I was playing perfect thus far. I figured I would subvert the player a little bit here. But I mean, if you're packing heat, then that makes this easier. But if say you're trying to pack heat and you slice, then this pyramid could maybe pose a slight problem. So I'll patiently wait for the sweet spot. That's fine, because this is a good angle, and I still have a sand wedge. So
Nice shot.
that was a default vanilla sand wedge, and that still ran like 10 yards. To show how rain and tailwind makes things real slippery in a hurry. Ooh, aggro insurance. Almost forgot that I had to putt through fringe, so that's another couple feet. It's about a little bit over foot to foot, foot by foot. Especially because of the quirks of tournament greens. 10.
Nice shot.
Did I give enough space for this wind to cross over? Maybe I did. Rough is fine. Well, that is rock that you can potentially bounce off of, but getting a tee shot to like actually land there and then bounce off in a meaningful manner, it's very difficult. Also with the way that it angles, basically that just ends up meaning that the ball just ends up continuing to yeet downward rather than outward. Now, if that pyramid was like, you know, really like, you know, closer to flat, or just, you know, a flat slab of rock, that's a different story entirely. That would be a different story entirely. And you kind of see a little bit of that, like, on some holes later here, that there are places where you could try to bounce rock for an advantage. But here, nasty crosswind to a pin at the top of the mound. This is actually the second pin. And I agree with that. This is not the worst pin by any measure. But I did make this crosswind to make it harder.
Nice shot.
Land at the mound, splash up, and oh boy, okay. That had some steam now, didn't it? Sure he did.
Nice shot. Chip in. Nice bird.
Nice little pinball action there. Wind and slope cancel each other perfectly. This here is a slight cooldown. The smallest wind that we'll see on this round. Also, you know, 11, so yeah.
Nice shot.
This is a hole where, in certain conditions, you can totally bounce off the rocks here. But here, I just happen to have done one better. Yeah, that was virtually perfect. Just didn't get +1, which is a 1 in 6 chance at a flyer lie as such. But this is a virtually perfect spot. Yes. Well, that makes up for that dum-dum on 8th.
How delightful.
I originally had pin 4 for this hole, but I decided to swap it out in order to accommodate pin 4 with more difficult conditions on hole 9 instead. Because I wanted to keep certain restrictions for the total of the wind speeds as well as the total pin numbers. So for this round on sands, I had the total pin numbers at 54. It was either that or 51, I can't remember. So in other words, these conditions are basically star tournaments but harder. But slightly harder. Because we'll start to see some pretty intense wind at the end here.
Nice shot.
Glove do work.
Nice on. Birdie putt. Nice birdie.
Yeah, that is definitely a spot with favorable wind. You could just bounce off that right side and land in approach distance. Very risky though, because if you get stuck on those rocks, it's OB. There's a difference between like natural rocks and man-made rocks.
Nice shot.
Alright, Tailwind, do your job. So this was definitely a skill test. To have players, have players test their courage in playing a shot that is short of the bunker and commit to hitting their marks in order to carry as little as possible, because that left side just meows. But at least it's not pin 4. I couldn't have every pin be pin 4. Otherwise that would have just been even harder. This here I kind of made be a slight cooldown in order to give players Albie chances, which, is for the hype. It's tough. Since you're going like against the grain, that's a pretty heavy slope on that left side. If you're going like across the whole grain, that's a lot you have to aim. So that's a putt that I would very seldomly sink.
Nice shot.
All else fails, this ball should go right and past the water. Because there's that risk, and there's this body of water here that protrudes further right than it would seem from the tee. And so you either have to be very, very strong and or hit very far right, but not so far right that you hit this dark brown region that's OB. So it's quite a risk trying to take the shortcut. And I only recommend it as a valid shot if you're going at least Waluigi or stronger. Daisy maybe if, to be even safer still. Alright, for the Albie.
Nice shot. Chip in.
Yes!
Oh, nice albatross.
The weather and pins are fixed. So tweaked everything to be just so. These are the exact conditions that I set for the tournament. There are ways to change the wind speed to be like a random range rather than like, say from 0 to 20. Yeah, that was an intentional design decision. I wanted to give the players some breaks so that they could, hype themselves for the potential Albie chance. But that, they still have to make good on that, of course. It's all execution in the end of the day. Just, help them a little. But when we get to this next round, no such chances. Well, maybe one or two, but Otherwise, yeah, no such mercy.
Nice shot.
Big draw.
Nice on. Birdie putt. Nice birdie.
This is just an absurdly good round in its own right. Let alone with tougher than typical conditions. Okay, yeah, nice 25 now, so... Yup. Keep things spicy.
Nice shot.
Maybe get a rock bounce here, and then that will maybe make this second shot all the easier. Yeah, at that range, waist area is not a big concern. I could even maybe, you know, use this slope to my advantage here.
Nice shot.
Okay, yeah, that's half a victory right there. Is just getting like over the hole in a clean spot.
Nice birdie.
These pin threes, you know, interesting as all hell. I think I had four pin twos, 4 pin fours, and 10 pin threes here. This is a pin 4. But since I'm not a mean person, I decided to have a huge headwind here. So that people could, like, you know, hit hard and land on the green and potentially spin back to the cup. Yeah, this is 10 stories down here.
Nice shot.
Slice is no bueno here. But nonetheless, I did land right in front of it. But that's not what I wanted to have happen. I wanted to land center-ish and then just have the ball bite the whole way back. Now, the one silver lining is that if you give yourself enough space from this bunker, this front is actually decently flat. But this is where the second dose comes in, is this wind. You gotta calc it a bit.
Nice shot. Chip in. Nice birdie.
Use a little Pythagoras here and there. And hit marks. Hit the marks when they count. And finally, a 36-mile-an-hour tailwind. Which has a couple of purposes here. One is, if you're packing Petey or Bowser, that it potentially enables a route to the left that gives you a clear shot. Or if you're like a mid character, then you can like go out here. And this tailwind, in turn, also enables, albeit with some caveats, it enables you to go under all the punch under all the ruins, and then just kind of like sort of skip your way up to the cup somehow, some way. But if your typical game plan is shooting over the ruins, then yeah, this wind is not going to help you. That's not going to help you.
Nice shot.
Big shot. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum. Rough is fine. Frickin' Petey Piranha, rough is fine. Rough is just fine.
Nice shot.
I wasn't sure what to do with all that, but I figured this slope here is a little bit of a backboard.
Nice eagle.
Well, that was absurd. Yeah, that's the best that's like the best round I'm gonna get any which way. Absolutely absurd. But this is all gonna go down the shitter on the next round.
How delightful.
Absolutely insane back nine. And that's all execution. All execution. Let's see. Okay, yeah. That's right, now I gotta go and swap the codes and then... Small reboot. Change a couple overlays. And then round 4. While that does its thing, then... That... Let's... Now for the evil. If this works as intended, I should have a 14-mile-an-hour headwind at about 11 o'clock. Because there are some enterprising players that are smart enough to use lefty characters and shank their way up to the top here. I'm going for something a little more comfy, though.
Nice shot. Nice shot. Chip in. Nice eagle.
Now, I set these conditions here in order to not so much punish, but like, rather, this encourages players to try to set up a plan for this hole other than just, you know, the typical cut the hole in half safe tee shot. Because if you do that, then the way that this front is elevated with this wood here and this crosswind, you're gonna have a tough time. You'll have a tough time if you try to play your tee shot conservatively.
Nice shot.
I made it here so that typical meta picks, like Boo or Waluigi, have a small chance to get over here outright and potentially allow for an easier second shot.
Nice shot.
Let this ball just run. Or attempt to. Yeah, and that was definitely reflected in the scores that were posted. It's actually not so much that I had the wins increased, but it's just the overall layouts. Just going from Sands to Badlands in and of itself is a huge jump.
Nice shot.
So where I had total wind speeds of 360 for Sands, this round I only had 414.
Nice ball.
So only an increase of 3 miles on average for wind speeds. This is a hole where people like to either pick, you know, lefty fades or righty draw characters to try to hit over here. And as such, in a way, this is kind of a lure because I picked pin 3, which if you try to go for this bluff outright, then that forces you to fade around the tower between the rocks for your green and red chance. So, yeah.
Nice shot.
So I made it possible for both Boo and Waluigi to try to go for this outright. But in turn, that makes this shot pretty damn hard. Or you could try to, you know, play to the edge of the fairway brick wall, and then you've got like 250 to the green, and you could try to do things that way, but again, difficult. Or you could go around, but then as you approach the green, then it becomes a giant crosswind. So, it's tough any which way. Intentional slice. Okay, so I did scrape the tower a little bit, but maybe this is okay. Okay. Small emergency here. We'll do a nice, weird high fade sort of thing. Maybe the green can actually help out here.
Nice shot. Nice on. Birdie putt.
That about ought to be a-okay. So the ball still goes pretty brisk. But, you know, eventually the break will start to take hold. This is a pin 2. My favorite way of doing this pin is to punch in front of it and then just kind of let the ball splash up toward the cup. But another way you could do this is try to squeeze in some type of draw that goes between these boos, and then just try to play whatever bounce and stuff and things. But that's another method.
Nice shot.
I think I overhit that very slightly. Yeah, maybe it was the prior mark I wanted to do topspin for. This is going to break severely once I crest the peak here. Yeah, that's good enough. You really don't want to overhit.
Nice ball.
Unless you're going uphill. Then it's almost impossible not to overhit. Dang, a couple pars here. Another moderately difficult wind, but we do have pin 4. So this forces the player to either be creative or be risk averse, depending on how things are going for them. But for those that want to be a little bit more bold, perhaps, then you could try fading against and landing over here, and then that gives you a lot more space to potentially fade around the bomb and closer to the pin. Your choice.
Nice shot.
Oof, that was almost bad. That was almost bad. That almost, like, defeated my whole point there, but almost.
Nice shot.
Uh-oh. This time I done goof, maybe the slice or something else, yeah. That was not a good slice. Well, shoot. Well, I guess now with that bomb out of the way, it really doesn't matter what I do. Does it? I can just go over here more comfortably now. And then being over, you know, to the right, it's almost a free chip at that point. Unless you undercook the crap out of it. So I imagine that might have happened to a few folks that got, you know, greedy and then they misexecuted. This one is just meant to be straight up brutal. Because you got this pin that's tucked in on this right side, and you got a wind that's going totally the other way, so yeah. This is just meant to be very, very difficult. Another sort of, you know, how bold do you want to make your tee shot to hopefully facilitate your second shot kind of test. And that right there is about as perfect as it gets. Honestly, hole one, I made hole one the kind of the gimme hole, but all the others have been, you know, no picnic. The most reliable method for doing this is to try to hit some kind of fade shot that then the wind will sort of absorb, and so you end up not, like, you know, gravitating to the right as much.
Nice shot. Nice on. Birdie putt.
Yeah, just hopefully you have something decent here.
Nice birdie.
Man, I really got burnt there before. This is a funny one. So this was basically kind of like a harder version of a few other holes where I have the pin like in one corner and then the wind is like blowing toward it. So you're supposed to try to make use of the green and curve as much as you can, basically.
Nice shot.
Yeah, let's just get an idea of how much is happening here.
Nice.
Very slippery shot as a result of rain. Still no gimme.
Nice birdie.
Originally, I had more rain holes, and so there were some instances where rain would go for a third hole in a row, but I ended up deciding to dial down a little bit after a little bit of feedback. Gave some folks preliminary access to what I was doing. Peeps that I know weren't gonna be in the tournament, whether because they were golf people and not baseball people, or they just couldn't make it, or whatever reason.
Nice shot.
But, you know, essentially, I made the distribution like a little bit more MG64 like, where in that game you could get rain on consecutive holes, and the probabilities were slightly higher. Because, I mean, depending on where you live, it doesn't just rain for 15 minutes at a time, which is presumably how long it takes, you know, at a champion or a casual level to play through a golf course, you know, so anyhow way. Pull back slightly. I don't want to carry too much here. Even if that does mean the wind pushes it a little bit rightward too much, as it did, but not a bad spot. Oh yeah, European stuff. Yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. You get a lot of that humidity stuff coming from the Gulf Stream. .43 is probably a better decision here anyhow. Yeah, that was probably the right decision. 40 would have just petered out.
Nice birdie.
Good birdie. And here, I have this whole as a thematic choice, where here it's like the ball, it's like the hole is in Bowser's mouth, and he's trying to blow your ball away, hence the giant headwind. So this was actually intended to be even stronger still, but I was like, yeah. Maybe this isn't quite the time. And plus, there's another example where that's, you know, once again exemplified.
Nice shot.
Uh-oh, is that fast fairway? That might have been a clutch hook, I don't know. Goofy lie, though, but... yeah, so here Bowser's trying to blow my ball away. And this also has a dual effect that if you try... that with this front flag, if a player tries to get cute and play something, like, too high, then that potentially makes it all the more likely that they might actually end up hitting the top of the structure here. So I'm encouraging the player to attempt to punch toward this flag instead. And that in itself can incur a risk, but ultimately it's the least risky thing to do.
Nice shot. Nice on. Birdie putt. Nice birdie.
But if they survive all this nonsense, it doesn't let up. I originally had this hole be rainy, but I decided to change my mind because this is already hard enough as is. Yeah, though you can bounce against the door in the back, and for like back flag, that can be a legitimate strategy. If you don't feel like trying to, like, you know, land your ball between the bunkers, because the green kind of bottlenecks in the center. So that's actually a legit idea.
Nice shot.
Here, the best probability of success is to actually try to play beyond this bunker and this bottleneck, but unfortunately, I got sucked into the vortex here. So not ideal.
Nice shot.
Yeah, because I mean that's what you tend to see with a lot of newer players anyway, is that they haven't fully fathomed the concept of the ball being round and rolling. They just interpret this star and it's like, well, that's where the ball's gonna end up being. When, I mean, unless you're using a sand wedge, that's scarcely the case. And so depending on how good your tee shot was, then that potentially opens up like a much more direct sort of fade against the wind type of shot here, but otherwise, depending on what you might need to use the fast fairway and then kind of spin your way up instead. Which is something that you would normally see more often in speedrun situations instead. Uh-oh. Backspin. Re. Okay, so we just have a long putt, that's all. Man, I was doing so good early on, too.
Nice ball.
Good putt. More evil.
Nice shot.
The idea there was to try to land, like, either in the front, like, right up at the front and then just let the ball do stuff. Although alternately, I could have tried to play like a higher shot and then landed at the back and spin back. That would have been another probably better idea.
Nice shot.
The wind did not shove that enough, unfortunately. The slope ended up winning that exchange. Man, hole 5, that was awful. Another dose of rain here. Burr. Potential slice. I don't anticipate being too far right here. Priority was to not go too far. I go for aggressive tee shots to enable good second shots, even if it kills me sometimes. But if you're a more controlled character, then you could probably afford to lay safer and then just send drivers to every green. If that's your style, then go for it. And it might actually work out okay on occasion.
Nice shot.
Didn't want this slice, but we'll manage.
Nice on. Birdie putt.
Maybe I did. Who knows? This is the flag that's behind like a somewhat janky slope, so. But I think I'm actually on a good part. Ooh, the jank almost got me there. But there was counter jank early on. That was just enough. Somehow this is not pin 4 somehow. Pin 4 is on the left edge, but honestly I think this one's way harder. Especially with this wind combo too. I want to be at least 300, but if not, then it's not the biggest thing. Yeah, this is a beautiful spot. That gives me the flexibility to potentially even use a 4-wood, but probably it'll end up being like a... Yeah, maybe it will be a 4-wood here.
Nice shot.
Front edge, baby, please. Absolutely delicious. Battle's not won yet though, because this is one of the worst cups in the game.
Nice eagle.
That eagle would be a steal in any competitive setting. Another tester here, and that I set this up in such a way that it gives a player justification to take this route up top, so that then they have more room to cross over this green here. Because most of the time in my experience, I find taking this lower route, it turns out to be the safer outcome, but nonetheless. Go this way for a change. A little scuff, but nothing that a little bit of loftiness can't fix. This might actually be a decent slice because that'll put me on the right part of the green, and I'll have a long putt, but I'm not in a horrible spot. Wow, that's actually not even half bad. I was trying to replay that, but I wasn't in time. It's not bad. Smooth and steady. I don't hit putts incredibly aggressively these days. 14 is fun. But if you have a bad lie, oof, it's a terrible time. And, okay, this one, I was just being mean. No two ways about it. This hole, I was just being mean. Here, I'm testing the player's ability to kind of stick in a big crosswind and how much they're willing to aim away. Or a solution I come up with is sort of like a curving punch that goes against it. That tends to be pretty effective. Because the shot is trying to start its hardest to fade through, but the wind is acting against it. So now here's a different problem entirely. With a 30-mile-an-hour wind, I basically just like, okay, what would I do if I had a 15 wind, but then just double it? Basically. That will work for the most part. But once you start getting, like, you know, crazy arbitrary winds, like, you know, 50, 60, 70 higher, then you start to throw some physics out the window a little bit. The ball will start getting extremely unpredictable. Not bad. Yeah, because this is actually puttable. Not bad. Did I give this enough space to break? Yes. And now here's an example of where a tailwind here is both a blessing and a curse. Because on the one hand, depending on your interaction with this fast fairway, if you avoid interacting with this swamp, you could get a ways down this bottleneck and potentially set up an approach or even just an outright Uger if you got yourself a strong enough character. Here, from when it appears, something else happened. And this is actually a small issue. Because Rain and Tailwind are both gonna, like, nuke the loft of my ball, so I could come up with something different. And I did make it in such a way that when people typically will use a right-to-left hitting character, that the way this wind is might still offer some self-correction here. I'm not a total monster. I'm not a total monster. Okay, so I'm a bit of a monster. And then here I got pinned 4 just so that players have enough space to try to play as high of a shot as they can muster and then just run along the green, because inevitably the ball's just going to do that. Tailwind and rain, it is going to slide. It's going to slide. Oh, I have not been in this plan in a while. I think it just spits you into one of the bunkers, but yep. Not the worst, actually. So, I mean, if a player has done their research ahead of time and they know about these plants, then maybe that could have been what they used to their advantage. I don't know, because the only round that got broadcasted live at the venue was the final round. God, the wind really took that. Yeah, thankfully the piranhas aren't that mean until hole 17. Nice beefy wind here.
Nice shot.
If I get smushed, so be it. If not, then I'm just a god. Okay, well, slightly scuffly, but not crush, so that's worth something. That's worth something. I'd rather do 5.
Nice shot.
Let this ball fade away, wherever it goes. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Ball. Birdie putt. Nice birdie.
Can't remember if that's number 2 or 3. It's definitely not 4th pin. And finally, yet another instance of Bowser attempting to expel the ball. So yeah, and since this ball's going so far downhill, a lot of peeps will underestimate how impactful this is. Well, that, and you also got a green that for the front half just rejects you, so you really got to punch this or hit it really damn hard, one of the two. Yarp.
Nice shot.
That's a low Baffy.
Nice on. Birdie putt.
And I lost 40 yards. Now granted, IRL, the wind would do a hell of a lot more than that, but, you know. Like, that's one thing that MG64 does sort of get a little more accurate, but, I mean, you gotta make some liberties here and there. This is a goofy pin,
Nice birdie.
but, yeah, 60 here. I am absurdly pleased with that. So, where would that be? Right here. Yeah, that's comparable with some of my best rounds while playing testing. And in fact, ironically, it was the back 9 that was really good, because I messed up so badly on 5. OPs really sting. Alright, last but not least, the Champions Round. Which definitely was mixed. I think 2 of the players had better, maybe 3 of the players had better rounds out on the Champions Round. No, maybe 2 of them, and then the other 2 had better rounds. On PCG at the Champions Round, and 2 of them had better rounds here. But I mean, I did sort of give a couple of concessions on the Champions Round, but then made the rest of the holes just like absolutely silly and stupid, as we'll see. So, properties, Gecko, round 5, back. Then go up here. D. This one, the other one. Yeah, this is where things get a little silly. So, where the winds on Badlands averaged 23 miles per hour, for this round, they averaged 29. Interestingly, on PCG, power is not necessarily the way to go, because you only need a certain amount of power in order to optimally execute certain routes. And then just having, you know, the rest of your stats in control, all the better. So here, I purposely, in order to potentially create, you know, some hype, I set the pin at the optimal location for the green pipe bounce. I did see that one of the 4 players did go for it, but ended up almost succeeding, but it still worked out for them. They didn't go in the water, thankfully. They were able to birdie thereafter. Here I sliced off the tee, which is the safe mistake. In case, say, you get a mark that's too strong or something like that for this to work, then you just land on this sliver of fairway and then you just continue on your way. But if things do go correctly, then you land like right at the front of the green and then you can just set up a putt and boom, you have an eagle. But before I came along, I'm not sure if anyone would have figured that out. Figured out how to use a backspin bounce to land inside the pipe without carrying to it. I didn't want to see a hook there, but this ball should still run a bit anyway. Well, it was perfectly straight, so aggression was okay there. I was worried maybe if I didn't add topspin, then the ball could have fell inside. Now here, I had it so that people would have to heavily consider whether to, you know, muster up the full potential of their strength in order to try to go through this pit, or you know, carry it outright if they went for power. Or if they did play safely to this corner, which they all ended up doing, then you would have to contend with a shot at this angle from which, yeah, you've got a heavy crosswind with this pin at this corner, and then you have this mound that wraps around the green, you know, left of the flag there. So, and since a lot of people do lean toward characters that hit draws or hit straight, not a lot of people pick fade characters, but the ones that do might find themselves with a slightly easier time here for this shot. But a workaround you can do if you're boo or stronger is, you know, take a low shot and straighten it as much as you can, and then just, you know, topspin the crap out of it. And it looks scary, but you should make it if you don't butcher your marks. And then you got this nonsense, which I was just content to kind of punch up here and then let the ball do the rest. Sort of fight the mound there. It pays to be assertive sometimes. This was fascinating to watch in real time here in the tournament. This was fascinating. This insane wind, this insane pin, but I think 3 out of the 4 players managed to birdie this, and two of them outright got green and reg. Yeah, I played stupid good on sands, in spite of the higher wind that I said, which ended up being the right choice, just because the downshift in difficulty from blooper to sands meant that I had to beef it up somehow. But yeah, sometimes you have blooper just be blooping, and there were a couple of folks that did fall down from round 2 to 3. Yeah, there were a couple of dumb mistakes, but minus 15 in the conditions that I said is still good. it is still good, because my typical blooper is like minus 16 in vanilla conditions. Anyways, here, so the optimal idea is you kind of want to land like right in this pit, and then somehow sort of creep your way up. Although you could maybe, in the right circumstances, get away with a shot that lands on this front, and then just kind of sticks. Nope. Nope. Basically, from round 3 onward, very little about this tournament was normal. Nope. This is 60% more than what is considered normal at its max. So yeah, you got to be kind of you got to be kind of creative.
Nice shot.
I think I'm in the bunker. Yup.
Nice shot.
Yeah, I overhit the heck out of it, so there was little I could do at that point. Backspin maybe was the only other thing. 3s, you know, that's cool. Maybe we'll get another 3 here. This one I did let off a little bit, except for the pin. So yeah, this win-pin combo definitely had people playing quite assertively. Thankfully, none of them overhit the crap out of it and landed in the water behind them, but yeah, there was 1 eagle out of the 4 players here, which is crazy. Crazy to me. Because they managed to play their second shot incredibly smart.
Nice shot.
This slice might be a curse. Not the worst, though.
Nice shot.
The best shot is going to be one that lands like pin high and then just, you know, the slope just brings it to a dead stop. The second best shot, well, either that or it just kind of lands in the back of the green comfortably. The second best shot lands in the bunker, and then I have a chip.
Nice shot.
This is fine too. It's got to be very assertive.
Nice shot.
And then don't hook. Okay, that could have been worse.
Nice ball.
I might have caught a little bit of the lip, and that just kept the ball in range. There are some folks that, for the 2 rightmost pins, like to play down here, but I made this wind in such a way that it forces you to play a fade, and if you can't muster enough of a fade, then you don't got a good method. I'm gonna try that anyway.
Nice shot.
Slice is actually fine because it'll pick up the wind more. And then from here, you can kind of sort of, float the ball up. Whereas if you came up the other way, you'd have to, like, do something where you play it, like, out, way out here and then stuff and things, but with, like, a 4-iron or even longer, but here you can make do with a 6 or 7. And ironically, high shots in these conditions can actually be very helpful because it allows you to stick. Sometimes you don't want to be, like, you know, dragging the ball all over the place.
Nice bird.
Aside from getting a little bit burnt on 4, this is fine, but this hole gave a couple of peeps quite some trouble. 2 of them ended up rolling off the back left side into the water, but they both did convert for par. And 2 of them landed the sickest shots on this mound and managed to sink their putts. So, yeah, absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. This wind will push your ball more than you think it should. Minimum carry we're looking for is like 180 or so. I'm going to set up in such a way that maybe I hold down slightly. There's no shame in just going for the center of this green.
Nice shot. Nice on. Nice
For sure, yep. So basically the shot starts attempting to fade, but the wind ends up overpowering it.
Nice on. Birdie putt. Nice bird.
You know what's funny is that I'm going to end up being beaten by, you know, the contestant that basically dominated the tournament, and they ended up getting 16 under on this course blind. And yeah, these conditions only get harder from here, so PCG 7 is normally very simple, but with this kind of crosswind, it asks the player some questions.
Nice shot.
Because, yeah, you want to be on this flat part and then just kind of come back, but on the other hand, if you under-aim, you're cooked. Or rather, you get wet. But if you do fall in the water, then you do have a flat putt for par. So there's that at least. These conditions here, I set to kind of throw the players a bone and maybe kind of generate some Albie hype. Sadly, no one did Albie this hole. A couple of them got a little bit too close to the trees, perhaps because of the headwind, and they ended up excessively slicing, and they couldn't get up to position. So one of them had to take a birdie. Yep, so that was similar, but that was worse than what ended up happening to some folk yeah, that was I only wanted 2 frames of slice there. I didn't want 3. So part of this too is a timing test.
Nice on.
You can do. So unfortunately, the OB turns this from an Albie chance into a birdie chance. If I hit this with a correct amount of power, this might actually almost be straight. But I know that it's gonna curve right as it loses steam, so I'm gonna aim slightly over. Yeah, that was the correct move. So whatever.
How delightful.
Whatever. My intention for these wins was any of these holes that are like up, you know, way in the sky have stronger wind than the ones that are than the holes that are like grounded, you know, closer to the lake upon which most of the rest of these holes are centered around. That's my presumption anyway when I consider like the cartography of the area. One of these players did a very nice shot, bold shot off the fast fairway, and they got themselves into a glorious position. The other three ended up with more difficulty.
Nice shot.
But yeah, I mean, as long as you aim enough, you want to go bold so that you have A, more room to cross along this green, you're more parallel to it, but B, you don't have this darn mushroom in your way that prevents you from hitting high if you wanted to. Although I am in quote-unquote bad semi, so that is a painful thing to consider. Plus 6% is a lot, and I don't like it, so I'm trying to do something like a hook or something to offset it, and that ended up working much better than I'd care to admit. In particular, also because the wind was insanely strong, so yeah, the hook was definitely the correct move. To lessen the blow even further.
Nice bird.
-7 is good here. Nice big win, sky hole here. So a lot of folks will go out to these, like, you know, deeper areas out here, but this crosswind asks you, are you bad enough? Are you a badass enough to do that? Or are you just gonna, you know, play the safe way, and then you got, you know, a nice big 200-yard shot that, again, you know, now if you go wide enough here, you have this whole entire green to draw across. Step number one, of course, is getting a tee shot in good position. So you basically have to, like, punch against it so you don't end up, like, conking the mushroom or something silly like that, because you're losing, like, 30-odd yards. And also you're just drawing way the heck over. Because presumably most people that play these courses use draw characters. They tend to, quote-unquote, fit the meta better, but you know what? I'm one to challenge the meta every now and then. It's good. It's good.
Nice shot.
Did I aim enough? That's the question. Jesus Christ, did I?
Nice shot.
I might not have.
Nice on. Birdie putt.
But yeah, that came out perfect.
Bird.
That is a pin 3 there. So all these pins that I set for this round are either 3s or 4s. So this elevated green and tailwind definitely asks the players some questions.
Nice shot.
Didn't need to add backspin here, it seems, but better safe than sorry, right?
Nice shot.
Give it flush.
Nice bird.
Oh, yeah. And then, like, you know, PCG 5 basically kind of almost feels like a hole that might have been intended for a blooper, but just got converted to PCG instead. This is a hole here where one of the players unfortunately ended up OBing twice. First time being that... I'm trying to remember the circumstance. I think they ended up, like, conking, like, landing on fast fairway and then screeching too far into this next pit. And then the other time, hooked on the second shot and landed on in the pit on the left. So that really basically ended up putting them in the back of the pack. Here's another way to do things.
Nice shot.
Now I didn't want to see a hook here, but this might work out. This might work out fine anyway, because there's just so much momentum. this kind of makes use of like the big bounce trick in order to just take a giant bounce that hopefully is not excessive, because that can happen too if I were to say use a driver there instead, but I ended up using the 3-wood. And then here we got this pin in the back.
Nice shot.
Absolutely absurd. That was absurdly good.
Great. Eagle putt.
That was stupid good.
Nice eagle.
This next hole here, I made it a little bit of a cooldown in order to give prospective players an opportunity, combined with this pin as well, give them an opportunity to use this pipe to either come back or, should they fail, then that's all the more of a setback. So, it's tough. ET's tough.
Nice shot.
Hey, if you're feeling confident, and if you're not, winning by 3 strokes, and, you can afford to take a relaxing route through the rest of the round, then, then you could just go around, but here, I opted for something a little different.
Nice shot. Chip in. Nice eagle.
There's a setup you can do where you can kind of line up the grid and do some kind of putt, but
How delightful.
yeah, I always chip. Just in case I happen to accidentally do some kind of spin that alters the way the ball comes out of the pipe and in turn potentially messes up the putt strat. So here I provided the not often seen right pin for this flag, because I know that a lot of people like to try to take an aggressive shot up here, which is still good and fine usually, but this blue pipe then kind of gets in the way and you have to shoot over it. So here I was hoping people would either try to, carry them off up here, or just, if they felt really safe, they could just lay up here.
Nice shot.
And personally, this is a score that I would definitely try to protect as well. This is insanely good. So I'm gonna be a smart boy and try to fade against this.
Nice shot.
And hope that this slice doesn't kill me. And it didn't. I still made it over the blue pipe anyway, so that was good. Yeah, the wind took it enough that it wasn't that big of a deal.
Birdie putt.
So all that was enough to definitely put a 3-iron in its place, which is crazy. Now it's back to being hard. This combined with this nice pin 4, so you can't even use fast fairway runs to try to scooch the ball up, unless you somehow position it absolutely perfectly. That, and this is also a situation where it's like, yeah, you can try to, lay up and keep things comfy over here, but do you really want a 200-odd shot out to, this sort of monstrosity? I didn't think so. I think you want to try to reduce. You wanted to try to reduce it to 120 or less potentially.
Nice shot.
So this is going to go for some major distance. Soft as you can make it, basically. It is, but I know not to underestimate good players. And one of them managed 16 under for the round here, and that was totally blind. Here, I know everything. So, it's to be expected that I should play decently. But, you know, but then, you know, second place round here was, I think, like, minus 11 or 12. And that was from a person that I don't see golfing very often, so it must have just been really naturally good. And then one of the other veterans ended up having, like, a kind of a slump and ended up with, like, with a minus 8 or something, which is still good, but just definitely, like, not as good as, perhaps disappointing for them. Okay, so aside from the laterals, I pretty much got the rest of that shot right. Yeah, I underestimated the fade there. So unfortunately that's going to make this putt a little tricky, but I have mathematics on my side. I think I missed my mark by 1. I think, yeah, I had a mark set and I undercooked it. That's a little sad. And then here again, I set things up in such a way as to kind of subvert the typical idea where the typical tee shot lands on the front of this fast fairway strip and then just kind of runs down. But here it's like, you know, I mean, you could, but... Whereas, you know, there's sort of a couple of lesser explored options that can prove to be beneficial as well, such as, you know, just settling on this rightward area, and as long as the mushroom's down your way, then you got something to work with. You could even fade around the green mushroom if you needed to. Or, what we've come to call the vampire route, which is, we got this chunk of fairway that's out to the left here, and then you just try to draw around the mushrooms on the left. And we call that the vampire route because it was popularized by one of the game's newer runners and data miners, Vampire Flower.
Nice shot.
That didn't skid quite as much as I thought, but we're still in the clear here. Give this ball plenty of space to do stuff.
Nice on. Birdie putt.
Definitely round up here a bit, because this ball just goes all up at the end. So you don't want it dying. Almost did. Almost did. And now for the funny hole. This was the one that I definitely created to, like, you know, be a hype machine. Yep. Yeah. A couple ways you can do this. Either you can try to do some kind of like punch, land on this fairway, and then just sort of drag your way down, probably with a pinch of backspin, and just hopefully you drag down to some proximity of the hole. Or you can do things in a most delightful fashion and just, you know, let Jesus take the wheel.
Nice shot.
I blame that on the hook, although probably that ball was going to go too far anyway, but no one birdied this hole, needless to say. This kind of wind speed is more than triple what you see at maximum in vanilla gameplay. So they just, you know, have to extrapolate to the best of their ability. And then, well, you know, 18 is not quite like this, but it's hard enough on its own, so you'll see.
Nice shot.
With a high enough wind, approaches definitely do get affected to some degree. And that's why you'll often see, like, iron chips much more. And then finally we cap off with a 36 that is positioned in such a way that I made this so that even if you were for some reason to pick Yoshi or Diddy, then you could have a crack at this green and 2 if you're lucky enough. But you still have to work for it. Yeah, you still have to work for it. I didn't want to slice here, but I think I'm okay anyway, because I opted not to carry excessively. Yeah, that's semi and downslope, so that's going to prevent me from Ugering, but we'll just take it all around. This is also good semi, so not the worst outcome. In fact, if I wanted to be silly, I could just literally aim at this tree. Although if I ended up under it, then that's an issue. That would be an issue. And also if I opted not to... If I opted to lower the ball, then that becomes a problem, so... Let's be a little smarter. Yeah, we'll just be a little smarter here, perhaps. Such versatility with this system, you know? And that slopes away from the bunker, so we should be okay there. And then, yeah, you know, nice pin 4. One of the very worst in the game. However, the way this wind is, might encourage a player to be able to try to punch through it and somehow achieve something crazy. Perhaps. Almost. But if you're in a good spot where the ball just kind of falls down and traces the line for you, then you just blast it and go home. All right, that's going to conclude this this little party here. That was almost as good as the YouTube uploads that I did, where I basically gave myself multiple chances. Rather, as here I just did these all 5 in a row here. Yeah, I mean, number one wasn't too special. It was basically vanilla CCF, except actually I made the wins and pins like slightly easier than vanilla. I was instructed to keep that first round simpler, but second round was where you started to see like some stuff that you don't typically see. A couple of holes had wins in the 20s with rain, and that was on blooper base, so yeah, minus 15, definitely very difficult. I mean, perhaps, you know, with the way that I explained it, maybe it seemed, you know, well annotated, commentated, whatever, but